I want to give a massive shout out to my Patreon page. If you're a fan of the channel and you want to see more content, check out my brand new tiers starting at just $1 a month. You can get early updates to upcoming videos, your name in the credits, voting power, behind the scenes clips, and get a short made per your what if request, and more. I have 5 available tiers ready from $1 to $100. The support goes a long way to help me continue making more and working with other artists and bigger projects such as animated content. This video was made truly by one of our Patreon members, Zachary Stonebreaker. Zachary commissioned this what if request, and I was thrilled to work with him on this storyline. If you want to have your fan request turned into a video like what Zachary did, this is your best chance. I want to give Zachary a big shout out for supporting the channel and sending me this amazing challenge. Challenge accepted. That being said, let's dive into this marvelous what if, my fellow watchers. Harry Osborn's hand twitched. His back leaned against the wall, and his mask rolled beside him, his bloodied body. This was it. The end was near as Harry watched his life fade away from him. Everything stopped. Not a sound was made. Harry felt his eyes were no longer there, as they were projecting a yellowish portal. Harry woke up from the cries of a baby. The future had been turned back, and time slowed, and Harry was back where it all started. The rebirth began. Harry Osborn was born with a twin brother named Peter Osborn. The two grew up as best friends in the original timeline. Peter Parker had been orphaned by Uncle Ben and his Aunt May. But in this variant reality, anything is possible. Peter Osborn was smart like his father Norman, and Norman took a liking to his intelligence because it reminded Norman of himself, while Harry Osborn shared little to no aspects of his father. His father Norman Osborn neglected Harry over the years, growing ashamed of such a human being. This caused a rift in Peter and Harry's relationship, due to Peter always getting praised in school and having outstanding smarts, while Harry seemed like an outcast to the family. Norman treated them differently, and because of this, would be Norman's downfall. As the boys grew older, Norman had given Peter a job at Oscorp, and this made Harry even more frustrated. Peter didn't even work for that job. It was handed to him like nothing. Norman even rejected Harry's resume after he made an application to Oscorp. This caused built-up rage for weeks on end. Harry was kicked out of his home. He was living on the streets homeless. Harry couldn't believe his father could abandon him, even though Peter fought for Harry to come home. Peter found Harry on the streets, and he brought him home. The three got into an argument that led to Norman punching Harry in the face. He fell to the ground and knocked over a painting worth millions. Norman then pressed Peter to never talk to Harry again. Norman smiled, giving Peter a dilemma: to beat the hell out of Harry, or he would be fired at his job at Oscorp. Peter's face turned to Harry's. Peter took a deep breath, waiting for Norman to call off the fight, but to no avail. Harry looked at his hands with blood all over it, and he looked back up to meet with a punch from Peter. Norman's smile grew even more as he watched his son beat Harry to near death. After the altercation, Peter walked back to his house, slamming the door behind him. Peter had betrayed his brother forever. Harry became depressed over the next few days. He ate out of rotten trash on the streets, to sleeping in alleyways. Harry was even robbed and beaten for the rest of his money and his shoes, leaving him helpless. Harry had nothing going for him. How could his brother do this, he thought to himself. After everything they had been through as kids, he was betrayed in the end, and it was all because of Norman Osborn. who had an iron grip on his brother. Maybe with his dad out of the picture, he could free his brother Peter from his grip. Pondering on what to do, Harry had seen an ad in the paper saying Expo coming to New York City. Harry smiled as he read that Oscorp board members were partaking in the event. He read that Norman Osborn and his son were attending a special meeting, and he saw that the military was going to begin buying flight suits from Oscorp, putting Quest Aerospace out of business. Harry was shocked at the news. He was more shocked that Norman was able to put them out of business, and for good this time. Harry came up with a plan to stealing the flight suits by breaking back into his home. If Harry could get a key to get inside of Oscorp, he could use this opportunity to kill his father and the rest of the board members. Harry believed by doing so, he would free his brother, Peter, from Norman and making things right again. At the same time, Norman and Peter were testing the new and ready genetically altered spiders that were being sold to the military to create a super soldier program. With the help of Peter Osborn, he was able to uncover the spider's abilities and gave Norman the information. Norman made sure that the spider's abilities worked and tested them on his son. Peter Osborn was given spider-like powers where he could climb on walls, shoot webs, and even have an extra sense of incoming danger. Norman was proud of his son, so much so that he even made a spider-like costume for him to wear at the expo when they announced a brand new deal. Peter was given a suit that was modified. It was a military flight suit with enhanced movement and a giant spider on the chest of the suit. The costume was red and blue. Peter and Norman smiled that they have achieved one of the greatest things in human history. Norman even gave Peter a hug, something Norman had never done before. He told Peter that he was sorry that he was always hard on him, but it was all worth it in the end because of their new findings. They would change the world forever, and America forever. The day of the expo began. The crowd was cheering and all eyes were on Oscorp and their findings. They announced to the world that they had discovered a brand new world superpower, and that the deal had been made. Everyone was shocked when they undid the red curtain and revealed the Spider-Man to the world. Peter, with a big smile, showcased the suit to everyone, and how he had the powers of no ordinary human being. At the same time, Harry Osborn had broke into his father's house, trashing everything in sight. Osborn had glanced over, hearing the TV noises. He clenched his fists, but was shocked to see Peter on TV. Time was running out and Harry had to find the key to get into the Oscorp facility. Harry smashed one of his father's paintings to see a safe. The safe had letters, and Harry thought, what could his father's passcode be? He typed it in and opened the safe. A tear went down his cheek, but he had to keep moving. Harry obtained the key and got into a cab. When he made it to the Oscorp facility, it was shut down because of the expo. But that wasn't stopping him from getting into the building. Harry used the key to open the gates. While he made his way further into the building, he unlocked the room where they stored the flight suits. Harry smiled walking into the chamber. He looked around to see the equipment everywhere, pumpkin bombs, and even a Tusk mask that looked like a goblin suit. It had a silverish blue type design. Harry also saw strength enhancers that could give him more strength than a normal person. This was a variant of the goblin serum, but a perfected one. Harry opened the vial, and it said only to take 2 at a time. But with the amount of rage, Harry had wanted all of it. Harry took 13 vials and drank all of them. This did cause Harry to get incredible strength. He looked at the rest of the suit and the glider. Harry smiled. While Harry made his way to the expo, everyone paused for a moment to see smoke coming their way. Even Norman was concerned, but he kept on smiling. Peter didn't know what to think, because he could visibly see in his father's face something was terribly wrong. Before anyone could react, the figure threw 15 pumpkin bombs into the building, blowing everything up in sight. Peter screamed, telling everyone to watch out, but it was already too late, as most of the building pieces came crashing onto people below, killing half of the crowd. Norman screamed in distress, asking his son for help, as he was about to slide off of the balcony. Peter's face was shocked when he saw the same flight suit he had worked on with Norman. "What are you?" Peter said. The figure said nothing and turned his attention towards Norman. "Don't touch him," Peter said, screaming. Harry enjoyed every minute of what he was doing, but he was far gone from redeeming. Harry looked below at all of the deaths that he had caused for revenge, and he thought that he had come this far, he needs to finish the job. As Harry was about to end his father's life, a concrete rubble from up top came undone because of a pumpkin bomb. Peter tried to push his father out of the way, but the figure saw this and stopped it immediately by taking him by the neck. Norman looked above to see the concrete piece smash. The concrete smashed into Norman's skull, and his body collapsed to the ground. Osborn cried out, watching blood come out of Norman's face. Harry's anger got the best of him. He choked Peter, knocking him out, and threw Peter to the side. As Harry took off his mask, Norman twitched and tried crawling upwards. Harry picked up Norman by his shoulders and turned him around, where the two faced one another. Harry saw the fear in his father's eyes, while Harry slowly picked up a Swiss Army knife and stabbed him in the heart, killing him. Peter woke up as he watched the mysterious figure murder his father in front of him. Peter screamed as he launched himself into the figure, but the figure was too quick and dodged the attack. Peter couldn't see the figure as he put his mask back on. It didn't matter though. He killed his father, and whoever it was, he was going to pay the price. Peter used his webs on the figure's glider and knocked the figure into the building. The force caused the rest of Harry's pumpkin bombs to explode completely, taking out the building. Harry's eyes was blurred as he saw someone slowly walking towards him. He was punched again and kicked in the legs. The figure was Peter, and he had murder in his eyes. Harry had got up, and Peter gave out his own dishes of punches and took Peter by the head, smashing his face into a bunch of rubble. He then picked up Peter's body, but it was countered by Peter, who punched Harry in the gut, so far that Harry's back smashed into a pillar. His mask rolled through the smoke, and a loud crack was heard, while Peter stomped on it. Harry's body was twitching and blood coming out of his nose. Peter walked through the smoke, and to his horror, he saw his brother in the flight suit. "Harry," Peter said in a surprised tone. Harry smiled at Peter. "I did it, I saved you." Peter was confused and didn't understand his statement, but Peter lashed out at Harry. Harry tried to explain that Norman was the one that had caused this. He needed his brother back, so he killed Norman. Peter couldn't believe it. "All those people are dead, Harry. Did you even think about that?" Harry shook his head, ashamed of what he became. "It's not the same as it was, Pete. I miss being your brother, and I'm sorry." Harry slowly reached into his bag, and with tears streaming down both of their faces, he saw what Harry was about to do. He was beaten, and it looked as if his back was broken from the punch Peter gave him. Harry pulled out one last pumpkin bomb from his bag. "Harry, don't do this." Harry smiled with tears streaming down his face. As he clicked the button, Peter screamed "No!" as he launched his body to try and save his brother, but it was already too late. The bomb went off and Peter's body flew in the other direction. The rest of the rubble came crashing down. Peter extended a hand out to use his web, but it didn't work. Harry's eyes then shut into eternal darkness. While Peter opened up his eyes, he looked to see that he was at a hospital. Flowers were beside him. He asked the nurse what had happened, and while she recapped the story, Peter cried. In the end, his father left Peter everything from the company to the house, but Peter realized what his father had made him do and how it destroyed Harry Osborn. Peter destroyed the Spider-Man costume his dad gave him and burned Oscorp, setting a fire. Then Peter proceeded to destroy the spiders in the lab. Peter walked towards Harry's grave in sadness and dropped to his knees. I'm sorry for all of it. And that is going to be What If Peter Parker Became an Osborn in Spider-Man 2002. Although the storyline took a completely different direction, a lot of the events had unfolded during the expo, and it was very sad to see Harry Osborn's arc. It was very sad to see Harry Osborn as a person be deteriorated and really go insane. And I think it was a different kind of insane, considering the fact that Harry Osborn didn't have the Goblin Serum, but it was that he was literally mentally unstable, and he saw a lot of the death that he had caused, and I think this kind of set him off where he didn't care anymore. And it was very sad to see the Brotherhood be destroyed in the end, and I think that really struck a chord within Harry, and it was a very interesting tale of what if Peter Parker was an Osborn. It really would have made things completely different in the Spider-Man timeline, but I love how I was able to kind of orchestrate this storyline to make Norman out to be the villain again, but also him knowing about the genetically modified spiders and completely taking out Quest Aerospace. So it's a very interesting what if, and I do want to thank our Patreon member who requested this, Zachary Stonebreaker. Again, if you want to see what ifs made, if you want to work with me and actually make these happen, the tier is out right now. So that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video that we made. If you enjoyed it, do make sure to subscribe, like, share, and turn those notifications on, so you and your friends are all up to date with the latest content. But anyways, as always, thank you so much for tuning in, and have a fantastic day. Peace out.